By the time you graduate law school, $150,000 or more will have been transferred from your bank account to a law school's endowment. That money could have been a house down payment. It could have been years without debt, and all of that's gone. And most students don't even know it's possible to stop that from happening. But today, I'm going to show you how. It all started in 1983. And by started, I mean the system that's going to break law schools and make you rich got invented in 1983. That's when US News and World Report published the first law school rankings. Before that, law schools competed on reputation, on the relationships and outcomes they had built with employers over decades. You'd look at a school, you'd call alumni, and you would understand what actually happened to people who went there. After that US News magazine came out, everything changed overnight. US News, what they did is they converted prestige into a number. 30% LSAT score, 10% GPA, 20% employment outcomes. Suddenly, you could see your position in a hierarchy. You could watch yourself climb or fall based on a few data points. Now, here's the thing about creating an incentive structure this powerful. Schools literally could not ignore it. Imagine that you run a law school ranked 25. Your competitors are ranked number 20. So you lose applicants to them, your alumni network weakens, your funding drops, and you've got to lay people off. And so you climb the rankings, and suddenly you're funded, you're hiring, your school is growing, and your prestige is coming back. Now imagine that you don't climb. You stay ranked 25, your competitors climb up to 20, then 15. After 10 years, they're ranked 12, and you're still 25. You're the school nobody wants. You're losing applicants, losing money, losing faculty. Now, of course, US News did not force law schools to optimize for the LSAT, but they created the conditions where not optimizing meant dying. And that's why every school did it. And that's why schools still do it today, even though they know the model is broken. Law schools realized the game immediately. You want to climb the rankings? You get your median LSAT score higher. That is the one lever you can actually pull. But here's the problem. You can't make applicants smarter by admission day. And the LSAT, you take that before you enroll, and so schools did the only thing they could. They started buying LSAT scores by giving out big scholarships. In 1990, a school would offer $30,000 to attract a high scorer, and that was huge. In 2000, it became $50,000. In 2010, it was $120,000. In 2015, it was the full ride, plus room and board, plus books, plus everything else. And it worked. Schools climbed in the rankings, and their median LSAT scores went up. Everybody felt like they were winning. But here's the catch. Everybody started doing it at the same time. By 2015, every top 50 school was playing the scholarship game. Schools ranked number 15 couldn't let a school ranked 18 outbid them, and so schools ranked 18 couldn't let schools ranked 20 outbid them. It became a prisoner's dilemma where everybody had to keep bidding or they would lose. And so the numbers got insane. A top 30 law school admitting 200 students per class, offering full ride plus living stipends to 50 of them, that's $9 million to $13 million per class every single year. Now, for schools with $40 million budgets, that's 25 to 30% of their entire operating budget spent on scholarships. Schools are spending roughly $1 on scholarships for every $3 they're bringing in. They are cannibalizing themselves to climb in the rankings. In 2010, 140,000 people applied to law school. That was the peak. But then the applications started dropping. In 2015, you had 75,000 applications. 2022, 58,000 applications. But things are coming back up. And schools are spending 30% of their budget on scholarships. It's not sustainable. And so schools started going bankrupt. Thomas Jefferson School of Law closed in 2020. Indiana Tech went under in 2018. Cooley Law went from 1,200 students to a couple hundred. These schools had been competing in the scholarship arms race, and they realized the model was broken and they could not afford to keep playing. But here's the weird part. The schools that survived, they kept playing anyway, still offering massive scholarships, and they're still trapped. The simple version is that schools broke themselves trying to climb the rankings, and you can use that to your advantage. Because while schools are trapped in the arms race, and that's worse for them, it's better for you. Around 2015, three things happened that locked the trap permanently into place. The American Bar Association is the accrediting body that controls whether your law degree even exists. Without ABA accreditation, you can't take the bar exam. Your degree is virtually worthless. Now, the ABA created accreditation rules, and these rules are great for existing law schools, but devastating for anybody trying to start a new one. The ABA says to get accredited, you've got to demonstrate specific outcomes, like employment rates, bar passage rates. You've got to track this data and report it. So think about what this does. The ABA is supposed to protect students, but instead, they built a wall so high that no new schools can climb over it. Meanwhile, the schools inside the wall, the ones that are already accredited, say, this is great, we don't have competition, and they pull up the ladder behind them. Then the ABA locks the door from the inside. But that's not even the trap yet. Now here's the trap. The ABA measures employment as employed 9 months after graduation. That's it. They don't distinguish between a $200,000 big law job and a $35,000 part-time doc review gig. Both of them count the same. And schools realized they could game this metric, and so of course they did. Some schools started counting unpaid internships as employment. Some counted part-time positions as full-time employment. Some counted positions at their own schools as employment. And so, in other words, they inflated the numbers so the ABA would not revoke their accreditation. Now schools are trapped in a different way. They need accreditation to exist. Accreditation requires employment numbers, and those employment numbers are inflated. And so schools have to maintain employment numbers high enough to keep those levels up, to maintain their accreditation, which means they cannot stop offering scholarships, which means they cannot stop competing in the arms race, which means they're losing money and they can't escape a vicious cycle. Now, here's why schools can't just stop. Schools expanded during the boom years, 2005 to 2008. They built new buildings, they hired faculty, they took on debt, and that debt still exists. To pay that debt, schools need enrollment. To get enrollment, they need scholarships. To fund scholarships, they need new revenue coming in. But tuition hasn't gone up because if it did, applications would drop further. And so schools are trapped by their own history. They expanded when times were good, but now times are bad for them, and they still have that debt. They need the enrollment to pay the debt, and they need scholarships to get the enrollment, and so they're stuck. It's like they tried to climb a mountain, and now they're so high up that they can't climb down without falling. They've got to keep climbing or they die. And that's actually what happened to them. Now, the ABA's rules, which were supposed to protect students, actually locked students into the broken system. The ABA became a barrier to exit, not a barrier to entry. A school cannot just decide to shrink. They can't say, we're going to admit fewer students and charge higher tuition. That would reduce their median LSAT instantly, and they would lose accreditation or drop in the rankings. Then they would lose even more applicants, so it's a death spiral, and they're trapped. And they're still trapped right now. Now, here is what I want you to understand. The schools are not evil. The people running them are not trying to scam anybody. They're just trapped. They realize the model is broken and the economics don't work. They are spending 30% of their revenue on scholarships to recruit students for a product that does not guarantee good outcomes. They know this and they cannot stop. And that creates a very specific dynamic between schools and applicants. Schools are desperate. They are willing to move. They have budget to be flexible because they've already committed to the scholarship arms race. That money is predisposed to that particular outcome. And you, as the applicant, have leverage they cannot refuse. But you've got to understand this leverage before you can use it. Now, let me be very direct here. In 2010, If you got into a school ranked 18, the school's attitude was, congratulations, you're lucky, be grateful. In 2026, the schools ranked 18 need you to choose them more than you need to choose them. And that is a total power flip. Schools ranked 15 to 30 are the most desperate. They're not the top tier where they can be selective. They're not a Harvard or a Yale. And they're not at the bottom tier where they don't care. They're in the middle, fighting for position, and they need high LSAT scores to move their medians. And that's where your leverage is maximized. If you are a 170 LSAT score and you apply to 6 schools ranked 15 to 30, you're going to get multiple offers. School A offers $100,000. School B offers $150,000. School C offers full tuition. School D offers full tuition plus room and board. School E offers full tuition plus room plus board plus bar prep. You've got leverage. You can call school A and say, I got into your school and I like your school, but I also got offers from school D and school E and they're significantly better. What's the max you can do? And school A, in most cases, will move or they'll match. Not a promise or a guarantee, of course, but entirely likely, because losing a 170 plus to a school ranked 10 spots lower is worse than the cost of the scholarship they're going to offer you. Now, here's the thing that blows my mind. Most applicants still don't do this. Why? 3 reasons. First is the scarcity mindset. You get into a school, you think you're lucky, you think you should be grateful, and you feel like you're not supposed to ask for more because that would be greedy. But it's not. Admissions will tell you directly, we expect high LSAT scores to negotiate. That's how it works. They're not offended, and they're not surprised either. It's normal. One admissions officer told me directly, if someone gets an offer and doesn't at least ask if we can do better, we assume they don't really want to come here. Negotiating is expected. Not negotiating is actually weird to them. The second factor is the prestige factor. You would think the highest ranked school you got into is the school you should attend, even if they gave you no money. Even if you're going to graduate $180,000 in debt, you think the rank is worth it. But it's not. A school ranked 15 with 0 aid might be worse for your outcomes than a school ranked 25 with a full ride. It depends on your goals and your particular market. The third factor is the fear of them rescinding your offer. That you think if you ask for more money, they're going to take away your seat. That doesn't happen. I want to be very clear about this because this fear costs more students more money than anything else. Schools will not revoke your offer because you negotiate ever. Because if they revoke the offer, you're going to go somewhere else and they're going to lose you anyway. Plus, they're going to lose the money they were going to give you. It makes 0 sense. And you're scared anyway, and that fear is costing you $150,000. Now, I want to walk you through exactly how to play this negotiation game step by step. The first step is to identify desperate schools. Now, not all schools are equally desperate. You've got to figure out which ones have the budget to move and the motivation to do it. There are 4 kinds of schools that are desperate right now. The first are the schools ranked 15 to 30 trying to climb in the rankings. A school ranked 23 can see themselves getting to 20. It's right there. If they could move their median LSAT up a couple points, they would jump up 3 or 4 spots. And that's worth spending money for them. These schools have been generating positive cash flow by staying selective. They have the budget to be flexible. And they've got the motivation to move because they're close to the next tier. That is your primary hunting ground. The second category is the schools that dropped in the rankings recently. You can find this in the US News data. If a school was ranked 22 last year, dropped to 24 this year. When that happens, the dean gets a memo. There's a budget meeting, they go into panic mode. They will negotiate with you because they want to recover that ranking. The third category is the schools with declining enrollment. LSAC publishes data on this, but you can also just ask. Call admissions and ask, what is your projected first-year class size? Are you on target? A school that's expected 180 enrollments and is on track for only 160 is scrambling. They need you, they're going to move. Now, the fourth category is the schools that lost a feeder institution. Some schools will historically get 15 to 20 great applicants from a specific undergrad, but then something changed. Maybe the relationship broke down. Maybe that school students started going somewhere else. If you are from that undergrad, you're going to have leverage that school wants. Now, in terms of where you find this data, LSAC is one source. You've also got the US News Archives showing year-over-year ranking changes, but there are others. You can go to Reddit, the law school subreddit. They'll have honest conversations about which schools are struggling. Students will talk openly about decline and instability. Law School Tools has enrollment trend data, and then you could also just talk to people. Talk to current students, go on LinkedIn, ask students if their school feels stable or is panicked. And they will tell you the truth if you ask. Then you want to build your school list strategically. You don't want to go by schools that you like. That's just kind of browsing around. Instead, figure out your LSAT score, realistic score, not your best practice test. But if you've done a lot of practice tests and your average is at 165, your realistic is probably 163 to 166, give or take a couple points. Then once you know that number, you build a 3-tier list. Your reach schools where you are below the medians, your target schools where you're on par with the medians, and your safety schools where you are above the medians, both LSAT and GPA ideally. And that tells you where you've got leverage for negotiating, where you're going to get offers from, where you're going to have to push a bit harder. Then you construct your offer stack. You apply in September, October, ideally earlier in the cycle when there's more scholarship money available and it's a bit easier to get in. Then decisions come back sometime January to April or so, ideally. Then when the first decision comes back, don't commit right away, of course. Do not commit. Wait for more offers, more decisions. And let's say you might get 5 different offers over the course of the next couple months. School A offers you a bit of scholarship money. Schools B, C, and D offer you increasing amounts of scholarship money, plus stipend, plus room and board, plus bar prep fees, and so on. Then you go to school A and say schools D, C, D, and E offer me more. Can you match or exceed them? And you play them off each other. A couple emails could save you tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship money. Do not be afraid to negotiate. And really, you're just giving them information to make a better decision to attract you to their school and see what they want to do. Do they want to push? Do they want to offer more? You wait till you have multiple offers in hand before you negotiate, always. Now, if schools push back, they might say, that's our final offer. We don't negotiate. And when you hear that, maybe they think that you don't have other options or that you're not a priority. And then you respond by saying, I appreciate that. I want to be straight with you. I have better offers, but I genuinely want to come to your school. Help me understand why I should choose your school over those others. Of course, ask politely, matter of fact. Don't be rude. Don't play hardball. Just simple, straightforward. Do it over email if you're more comfortable that way. Typically, most schools will move to some extent. They will find the money because losing you to a competitor ranked lower is worth the scholarship risk. Now, don't say, I'm comparing all of you. Say, I got offers from a few schools and I want to understand where you'd be positioned compared to them. Don't say school X is offering way more than you are. That's going to put them on the defensive. Say, here's what they're offering. Can you be competitive on that number? Now, if you negotiate too aggressively, you might offend them. If you ask for double what they offered with no justification, you might come across as greedy and they'll just turn you down. If you negotiate too hard and if you're rude, they might withdraw their offer. If you negotiate for months, you get exhausted, you might end up making a bad decision because you're fatigued. So set a deadline for yourself. Say to yourself, for example, I'm making a decision by April 1st, and then stick to it. But while these are real risks, they are manageable. The upside is $150,000 or more. If you feel uncomfortable for a couple of weeks going back and forth, that's a pretty good trade. Now, not all scholarships are equal. Some of them are conditional on your maintaining a certain GPA. That is risky. That could be a trap because they offer those scholarships to too many people. Some are doomed to failure, and of course, nobody ever thinks they're going to be in that position. Law school has a forced curve. About 15% of your class will have a GPA above 3.5. About 15% will have a GPA below a 3.0. So 85% might lose a given scholarship at some point. So ask what percentage of applicants or recipients keep the scholarship through graduation. And if they won't tell you, don't take the offer. If it's renewable annually, that means they could revoke it. Ask them to commit for the full 3 years so you're locked in and your money is secure. And some scholarships only cover tuition, but you also want fees, room and board, books, bar prep covered as well. Ask if those factors are included. You also want to see, will they move after the first offer? If you negotiate and ask if they can do better and they don't budge at all, they're not desperate for you. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go there, but know that you might have better leverage with other schools, and so factor that in. Then finally, if they give you an aggressive commitment deadline of 48 hours, it's a pressure tactic. You don't have to say yes to that. Ask them to extend. And if they won't, maybe you want to go somewhere else. Now, of course, there are other factors involved in choosing a law school beyond scholarships. And the best way to get better scholarship offers is getting a higher LSAT score, higher GPA. Thing is, of course, your GPA is typically pretty fixed at this point in time, but your LSAT score is the biggest lever you can move. It is the #1 needle mover to get into better schools, to get more scholarship money.